Hello and welcome to another Survivor Talks with Mike. Today we'll be covering Survivor 41, Episode 12, doing a recap, review, and predictions. Let's get right into the recap. We start at the Viacana camp. We return to camp after Tribal Council. Desean talks about his emotional speech at the last Tribal Council, tells everyone he doesn't want the game to become about race, knows things got heavy with the do or die twist, and it was just emotional for everyone. Danny thinks that Xander made a mistake by not voting out Ricard with them, thinks they might have missed their chance. Desean and Heather talk about what Desean's going through. Heather wants to continue learning. Erica and Desean have a conversation about how Desean was being vulnerable. Erica talks about her experience as being a female player and wants to be the first female winner since Lucina in Game Changers. We then go to the reward challenge. Jeff tells them that they will get to have a choice between chicken and veggies or desserts for a reward. Desean is disappointed. He wanted letters from home, and I don't know that we've ever seen a player say that what they're playing for isn't worth playing for, uh, other than maybe the first season. I think it happened. Uh, then they're split into two teams. Desean, Erica, and Xander are on one team, with Ricard, Danny, and Heather on the other. Danny, Ricard, and Heather struggle, so the other team wins. They choose chicken and veggies. Desean says this is his moment to start winning. So at their reward, Desean, Xander, and Erica discuss voting out Ricard next. They say they could see them as a final three. Desean doesn't trust them, but he agrees anyways. Back at camp, Danny goes off to look for an idol. Ricard suspects that he does find one. The others come back. Desean and Erica are talking about their path to the end. Desean is saying their final three plan with Xander is a good plan since they each played a different game, but he really just wants Erica to say she can't go to the end with Heather. We then go to the immunity challenge. It's an obstacle course with a word puzzle at the end. Ricard gets through the obstacle course first, and he solves the puzzle first for his third individual immunity. He solved the puzzle pretty quickly, and Jeff asked him how he did it, and he told him that he was just, as he was going through the obstacle course portion, he was trying to think of four-letter words that would fit in there, so he had a good idea of what the words were ahead of time and just had to arrange them in the right order. We then go back to the Viacana camp. Danny is saying they missed their chance to vote out Ricard now that he's immune. Ricard asks Danny about if he found an immunity idol. Danny doesn't tell him anything, so once Danny leaves, Ricard checks his bag. The discussion is between whether they should keep Danny or Desean. Danny might be better in challenges to beat Ricard, but Desean is more aligned with the others. Danny and Desean decide they have to vote for each other. Danny tells Desean about his NFL background at this moment, since he thinks that he'll probably be gone. We then go to Tribal Council. The main discussion at Tribal Council is about risk versus reward, and not voting out Ricard last time was a risk. Desean decides to let out some revelations. He tells Heather that Erica doesn't feel she can go to the end with her, since she might steal some votes from her. This isn't brought up as like a big revelation, really. It's not as big of a truth bomb as I think Desean was expecting, and it kind of just made people not like him, I think, in that moment, anyways. They go vote. It's even 3-3 on Danny and Desean. On the revote, Danny is voted out. Danny says go Cowboys before leaving, revealing his professional sports background. Jeff tells them they will now go to a new island and start over. They will have two tribal councils, a fire-making tiebreaker, and someone will be named winner, which I thought was kind of weird wording because if they have two tribal councils and then fire-making, that could mean that there's only a final two in this season. But I think what he actually meant is just that at the second tribal council they'll have the fire-making tiebreaker. But the wording was a little bit confusing, and it could lead people to believe that it's going to be a final two this season. So my thoughts on Danny are that he was an amazing social player. Despite being a hulk of a man, he didn't really draw too much attention on himself, and nobody seemed to really dislike him. Of former professional athletes, he definitely played the best social game, and a case could be made for him as the best major sports athlete to play the game. I'd put him right up there with Brad Culpepper and Jeff Kent. Um, I think he played a really good game, but just got himself on the wrong side of the numbers when the Black Alliance imploded. His friendship with Desean was nice to watch the entire time, and I would like to see him play again, but I don't really think that he will. My review for this episode is that this episode felt like just a good normal episode, and it felt like a nice breather after last episode was so emotional and had the new do or die twist. There isn't anything too big to say about this episode. We did get some really nice social moments between the cast, having them talk with each other. Desean went on a tour, talking to Erica, Heather, and of course Danny. Moments like that, where the players are being vulnerable with each other, is what I like to see. So it was good to have an episode that solely focused on that. For this episode, I would give it an 8 out of 10. So predictions for the finale, Erica, Xander, and Desean made a final three plan, but Desean also tried to blow up Erica's game, and I'm not sure that any of them really meant that in the first place. Of course, Ricard is still the biggest threat, but he had a pretty quiet episode, so I'm not sure what that means for his game. He might be set up as the final obstacle for the winner to get past. Heather still has no chance of winning, and at this point, Xander might not either. Xander hasn't really done anything since the merge, and by not giving him any attention, his idol has essentially been rendered powerless and meaningless. He does still have a path to victory, but he has to do something big in the next episode, such as beating Ricard at Final Four fire making. That was also maybe a hint that this season will have a Final Two, but I think that was just a weird wording on Jeff's part. So if Ricard doesn't make Final Three, I think the main competition is between Erica and Desean. Desean, we have followed the entire way through the season, with him getting confessionals in every episode. Erica was kind of invisible in the first half of the season, but in the post-merge part of the game, she's gotten a lot more and has gotten confessionals about wanting to be the first female winner since season 34. Desean's vulnerability throughout this season could also be endearing to the jury, which would give him a strong case. Going into the finale, I would like to give a ranking of the players with the best resume. Of course, at the top is Ricard. Then I would say Erica is in second, with Desean in third, and then Xander in fourth, and Heather in fifth. Heather might even be in seventh or eighth. One of the jury members might have a better chance of winning than her. That doesn't mean I think Ricard wins, but if he makes final tribal council, he should win. But if not, I think at this moment Erica is at the top. But of course, the others could make moves in the next episode to uh, rearrange the rankings on their resumes, and also they could have a more convincing final tribal council once they get there and talk over the jury. So it'll be fun to watch next week. See the finale. I know that they've already recorded who wins. It's not a live one like usual, so it might be like the last one where Jeff was talking over Zoom, and then we'd cut to the episode in between. But we'll see what ends up happening. I'm not sure how they're going to do this one. Thanks for watching, and please, if you liked it and made it all the way to the end, hit like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel.